What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Ages of Film this time. Welcome back to another live stream. Sunday, we've been out of action for a minute. I apologize about that. It's been crazy past few weeks. Life gets crazy sometimes, and you just got to pivot and adjust, right? But we're here. We're here today, and we're here to talk some horror, and specifically 90s horror. So, hope you guys did your homework and put together your top 10 favorite horror movies from the 90s, because that's what we're here to do, is rank our top 10 favorite horror movies from the 1990s. Let me know how the audio is for anyone. I'm trying something new out. I got a new mic, new speaker, new camera. So everything's new here. So let me know on the sound, if it sounds good. If there's any issues, let me know. Katie from Popping the Popcorn is here. What's up, Katie? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. And if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. Helps the channel out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, that's another way to support the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So this is something I've been waiting to do. It's actually an idea that I got from Michael over at Movies and Beyond. He has done a few of these, like top 10 favorite horror movies from different decades. So I thought it'd be fun to do one of my own. If you haven't gone over to Movies and Beyond, go check out that channel. What are you waiting for? Michael is a good friend of the channel. We've had him on multiple times. I'm going to be over on his channel later tonight. So if you haven't checked out Movies and Beyond, go do so. Smash the like and subscribe for Michael as well. Also, The Bearded Entertainment with Eric and Brian Lomax as well. And hopefully Brian will be here in the chat today, because I would love to see his list in particular. So let's see. We also got My Chunky Jordy in the chat. What is up, man? Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you. Glad to see you can make it. Sound is fine. Good. Awesome. Yeah, I was a little nervous because, like I said, this is a new mic. First time to use it on my channel. So hoping it stays going good. All right. So we got 90s horror movies. And I got to say, I was putting mine together this week, and I was just looking up all these different 90s horror movies. Man, it was actually harder than I thought it was going to be honest with you guys. I thought it was going to be, relatively easy. But then when I actually started looking at some of the movies that came out in the 90s, I was like, damn, this is actually harder than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, if you guys like this video, we have fun, have a good time, let me know if you want me to do other decades, top 10 favorite from the 80s, top 10 favorite from the 70s, 2000s, whatever. If you guys enjoy this one, let me know, and we'll make those happen. I see Melissa's in the chat. Melissa Wildcard is in the chat saying, hey, what's up, Melissa? Glad you could make it. Interested to see Melissa's list as well. She is the wild card, so no telling what she's going to have on her list. I'm excited for it. And I'm ready to get into this video. Hope you guys are too. Let me pull my list up here for a second. Man, and I'm looking at my list right now, and it's, I mean, some of these could change, to be honest with you. Some of these could change, because a lot of these, when I put these together, a lot of these are also based on my mood, like my given mood for the time. And depending on the day, I mean, some of these might flip, but I know my number, like my top 2 or 3 are pretty solid. I don't see those changing. But everything in the middle, I'm kind of, I'm a little hesitant on, on putting them out there, because the one thing about doing lists like this, doing ranking videos, is that people hold you to it. People hold you to whatever it is, your ranking, whatever you show people your ranking on a public platform, people hold you to it. So, 6 months down the line, I might say I like, one of these movies better than the other. And someone might say, well, you didn't have it higher on your 90s ranking video. So, you just kind of gotta stand by whatever your ranking is. So, all right. Are you guys ready? Because I'm interested to see the chat's ranking here. We're gonna go one at a time. We're going to start at number 10 and just go down to our number 1, start with the worst and work our way up. So I'm going to give my number 10, and then, you guys can give y'all's number 10. Don't give everything at once. We're going to go, line by line here. So, yeah, I just thought this would be fun to do. We'll have a fun time, hopefully, doing it. And yeah, let's get started. Let me just pull it up real quick. All right, so I got my number 10. So at my number 10, and I just wanted to preface it by saying this isn't necessarily the 10 best horror movies. This is just my list of favorite horror movies. So if someone wants to argue that, a movie that I don't have should be on here because it's better than, a movie that you might see on this list, I might agree with you on that. I might acknowledge that, but this is just my opinion. This is like my favorite horror movies of the 90s, not necessarily like the best made movies, just my personal favorite. So we all have our opinions. So yeah, I see Michael from Movies and Beyond is in the chat saying, what's up, man? What is up, Michael? Already gave you a shout out, man. I'm going to be over there, Movies and Beyond, later this evening. So again, go over there, kick it with Michael, hit the like and subscribe for him as well. He's going to put on a badass show as always. So yeah, go show him some love. And yes, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Thank you, Michael, for that. All right, I think we're good. We're ready to kick this bad boy off. I'm excited. All right, so I probably should have written these down so I don't have to like click on my phone every time we put one of these up. All right, so I'm gonna show it up on the screen for a few seconds, and we're just gonna go from there. So my number 10. Are y'all ready to put your number 10 out? My number 10 of the 90s is It, from 1990 TV movie, Stephen King's, based on the Stephen King novel, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. Fun fact, Tommy Lee Wallace was also the director of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. He was also the production designer on the original Halloween, 1978. He was offered and asked to come back for Halloween 2. He declined. He hated the script. He was actually offered to direct Halloween 2. He was not a fan of the script, but he was production designer on the original Halloween. And he also, interestingly, he was actually the one given the task to go find and select a mask for Michael Myers. If you guys don't know the backstory here, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, they didn't have a mask for Michael when they were shooting Halloween 78. And so Tommy Lee Wallace was asked by John Carpenter to go down the road and pick up a mask from one of the stores. and Tommy Lee Wallace came back with a clown mask and a William Shatner mask, and he plucked the eyebrows out, messed up the hair a little bit, and spray painted the mask white, giving us the iconic Michael Myers mask. And immediately when he showed the other crew members that, they got chills, and yeah, that was the one that we got. So we have Tommy Lee Wallace to thank for giving us the Michael Myers mask. If nothing else, he deserves recognition for that alone. So yeah, just some fun facts there on Tommy Lee Wallace. But yeah, it's from 1990. This is number 10 on my list. I gotta say, I like this movie a lot growing up. This was one of the few horror movies I did have, and I did watch a lot growing up. Tim Curry scared the crap out of me, man. He was terrifying as a kid. And yeah, his version of Pennywise haunted my nightmares. I was traumatized. His voice, his look, his performance was all so good. He will always be my definitive Pennywise. I know a lot of people like Bill Skarsgård, and he was great. He absolutely was great. But as far as the character of Pennywise goes, Tim Curry is my definitive Pennywise. So yeah, as a movie though, as a movie, I do feel like the 90 TV movie it's dated itself a little bit. I'll just say that. I don't know that it holds up after 30, almost 35 years now, as well. And it's just a product of its time. You know, it didn't have a huge budget. I think it had about a $9 million budget. But yeah, for what it was at its time, it was very good. And it is my number 10 favorite horror movie from the 1990s. And a lot of that just comes down to Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise and what he gave us with that character. So let me know in the chat, what is y'all's number 10 favorite horror movie from the 90s? I'm interested to see what you guys have to say for your number 10. Again, my number 10 was It from 1990. Melissa saying, I got my list not in order, but be Urban Legends, Craft, Faculty, Candyman, Halloween, Six, The Ring, Good Son, Rage, Carrie, I still know what you did last summer, and Dusk to Dawn. All right. Good. Some good picks there. Wild card, man. Always. She's always gonna have at least that one pick. You know, that one take that's just, you know, it's a hot take, but that's what I love about, you know, the chat is you get to see other people's opinion. Some good picks there, Melissa. I like so The Ring was in the 2000s, unless you're talking about Ring U, like the Japanese version. Ring U, is that the one you're talking about? Because that was 90s, but The Ring was early 2000s. Rage, Carrie, see, that's an interesting call. Rage, Carrie 2. That's a Melissa wild card pick right there. Rage, Carrie. And interesting that you went with I Still Know What You Did Last Summer and not just the first one. Because I do like, I mean, I like I Still Know What You Did, but I like the first summer movie the best. So that's an interesting pick there. Um, Michael saying The Good Son was Crazy Town. I haven't seen it in years though. I think The Good Son may be one of those 90s movies that went through the cracks for me. I don't think I've seen it because I've seen the cover of it and I've kind of read a synopsis of it, and it doesn't sound familiar. If I've seen it, I don't remember it. But yeah, I don't think I've seen The Good Son, so I'll need to get on that one. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 9. My number 9, I'm gonna go with this one. Might be a little controversial. I don't know. We'll see. But here's my number 9. I'm going with Wishmaster. The original Wishmaster is my number 9. This is a guilty pleasure, guys. I admit. There's something about this first Wishmaster that's just so much fun. I don't know if it's the gin, that I love the look of him. He's got, just a badass look. The makeup, the costume just is awesome. I do like some of the characters. I think it's well paced and it's just a lot of fun. I know a lot of people aren't big on Wishmaster. But yeah, I am a big fan of the first one. Now franchise as a whole, I could kind of, kick to the curb. I don't really care for any of the sequels. But that first one, I could kick it with. So yeah, Wishmaster is my number 9. Michael saying Culkin. Yeah, Culkin. I know. See, that's the thing. I know he was in it. And I do like, I like the Home Alone movies. He's in a couple other movies that I liked. Wasn't he in Uncle Buck with John Candy? I think he was one of the kids in Uncle Buck. I could be wrong. I know he was in a John Candy movie because I remember seeing him in a John Candy movie. I don't know if it was Uncle Buck. It wasn't Great Outdoors. Was it Uncle Buck? I'm wanting to say it was Uncle Buck. Yeah, Uncle Buck. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Uncle Buck. That's a good movie. My Girl. Yes. Yeah, he was in My Girl. Yeah, that's another one he's pretty well known for. Yeah, I don't know. I guess The Good Son is just one of those, we all have those movies that just they slide through the crack. We just missed them, missed out on them or whatever. Didn't get around to seeing them. The Good Son is one of those for me. I just never got around to seeing it. I always knew about it, it was always there. But I just never turned it on. I've been close to watching it a few times. Because I've heard good things about it. I really have. I don't think I've heard anyone talk negatively about the movie. From what I hear, people talk pretty positively about it. So yeah, I'll need to check it out. I got so many movies on my to watch list right now. It's crazy, dude. I have so many movies on my to watch list that I need to check out. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. What about you guys? Number 9 for y'all. Any number 9s out there? Ah, man. Let's see here. All right. All right, I'm gonna move on to my number 7. And honestly, I'm looking at my number 6 and my number 7 right now. These could flip, to be honest. I like both these movies a lot. I'm trying to think if I want to stick with my selection or if I want to flip these. Um, no, no. I think I'll stick with what I have. I think I'll stick with what I have. I'm not feeling enough. Not feeling quite enough love for my number 8 to put it above my number 7. So yeah, but just know 7 and 8 are very close for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show my number 8. It is movie I just mentioned. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, there you go, Melissa. Um, my Chunky Joy. I don't do lists live. That's fair. That's fair. Um, I've seen that many in 44 years. I can't remember them. It's funny. That's funny. That's fair, man. That's fair. Uh, but funny. Yeah. My number 8. I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is a fun one, man. The summer movies for me, at least the first two, are always movies I could throw on if I'm just kind of bored, or just want to kind of throw something on in the back while I'm doing, whatever. They're movies that I could throw on anytime and have fun with. I like the group of characters. Jennifer Love Hewitt is a good final girl. Very, very pretty. And yeah, I like the cast of characters. I do. Um, it's a fun whodunit. I think the first one for me works a little bit better than the second one. I mean, they're both very fun, enjoyable. I just find for me, I go back to the first one a little more than the second. Um, but I do like the location of the second one. That, like, what was it? A resort they were at in the second one. I like the setting, but yeah, the first one, when you're learning about these characters, you're learning about the fishermen. You don't know yet who the killer is. Just the kind of suspense that they build for it. I think it's just executed a little better in the first one. But yeah, really enjoyed the first summer movie, and I like the second one. I have seen the third one. I don't care for it, to be perfectly honest. Probably will never watch it again. Uh, yeah, not the worst horror movie ever, but it's nowhere near, in my opinion, nowhere near the level of the first two. So yeah, I think it's called "I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer," which is just a stupid title. It's, it's a dumb title. But yeah, that one just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the same. Wasn't the same. So yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer is my number 8. Yeah, number 8. And my number 7, I'll go ahead and show because it is close with these two. But my number 7, let me pull it up, is boom, Candyman. Candyman, the OG, baby. Tony Todd, legend. Yeah, it's Candyman. Well, what can you say? Mike Chunky Jordy saying third one is laughable. Yeah, it is. It is. It's laughable. It's you don't have the same cast coming back. You don't have the same killer. It's boring. I don't think it's well paced. I don't think the acting is good. Yeah, the third one is just a joke. And it's just like, why would you go back to it? Like, I don't see, like, I honestly, I don't see a reason. to go back to it. If I want to watch a summer movie, I'm gonna throw on one or two. Like the third one, just it offers me nothing of rewatch value. Like it's not like the third one has something in it that the other two don't. It's like there's just no reason to go back to it. So yeah, agreed on that. Candyman, my number 7. Dude, so I remember the first time I saw Candyman, I was fully invested. Like the setup, they're like the first 15 minutes of the movie is just fantastic. The suspense, like not knowing, who this Candyman guy really is, what he's capable of. It's fun. It's a fun ride. And then once Candyman's revealed and he comes out and gets his first kill, you're like, oh shit, this guy's messing around, like it gets pretty intense, man. I personally, so this might be a little bit of a controversial take. We'll see, but I'll throw it out there and see if it sticks. Excuse me. So I personally, I like the first act of Candyman, or the first half of Candyman, better than the second half. I think once you get into the second half and the blonde lady is just, spending a lot of the time in the hospital trying to get out. I think it loses a little bit of stride, if that makes sense. I don't know, but yeah, I like the movie. I do. It's my number 7 on here. I do really like it. I know a lot of people would probably have this higher. I get it. I know Brian would have this higher. And I get it. It is a classic. It definitely has a strong fan base. So I do get the love for it, but and I do like it, but it's not a movie that I'm, just crazy about, or super rah-rah about, or anything like that. It's a fun movie. I think it's very good. I love Tony Todd as Candyman. The way that he uses his voice is brilliant. It's very scary, especially the first time you watch it. Yeah, it's a very good movie. I have it, number 7 on my list. I just think that the second half is just missing something, and I don't know that I can quite pinpoint what it is, but yeah, there you go. Candyman, number 7 for me. Moving on to number 6. Let me pull it up here. Oh man. All right. So I'm looking at my 5 and 6 right now, and these two are also really close. I think I'll keep these two. I'm not going to tamper with my list. I'm just going to keep it like I have it. Here's my number 6. We have, boom, baby, Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness. This is my favorite Evil Dead movie. For what it's worth, I like all the Evil Dead movies. I do. I'm a fan of this franchise. I think it's one of the best horror franchises out there. As far as just quality goes, I don't think they have a bad film. Even like my least favorite Evil Dead movie is still a good movie. Like, that's the thing. I like all 5 movies in this franchise. But my favorite, the one I would go back to the most, is Army of Darkness. I just think that this is Bruce Campbell at his peak. I think Ash has some of his best one-liners in this movie. It's funny. It's also dark and gritty at points. I love the pacing. I love the characters. I love the setting. It's a lot of fun, man. It's super rewatchable for me, and yeah, I love it. I love uh Army of Darkness. So yeah, that's my number six. Some might argue whether or not it's actually horror, and that's fair. I think you can make an argument that maybe it belongs more on the comedy side of things, but it's my list. This is my number six. So yeah, and it's already part of a franchise that has established itself as a horror franchise, is the thing. Like, the first Evil Dead is clearly a horror movie. The second one is horror with comedy elements. Third one, some might argue, is comedy, but I'm like, you know what? It's already established itself in a horror franchise, and I do think the tone, and the story is a dark story. I do think it's a horror story. I just think Bruce Campbell brings so much of his humor to the movie that it comes across sometimes as being a comedy. But I think that's in large part because of Campbell and what he just brings to that character. But like, if you were to take Bruce Campbell out and put in, like a serious actor, I don't think anyone would be calling it a comedy movie. So yeah, to me, Army of Darkness, number six, and I do put it in as a horror. Mike Chunky Jory saying Army of Darkness is great. Yeah, it is. It is. And that's something I applaud Evil Dead for, man. I mean, it's hard to maintain good quality movies 5 films in. I mean, how many other franchise can we say that about, really? Uh, like, I'm a huge Halloween fan. You guys know that. I can't make that same claim about Halloween. I can't say 5 movies in, Halloween's still putting out bangers, because they're not. I can't say that about Nightmare on Elm Street. Can't say that about Friday the 13th. But I can say that about Evil Dead. They all 5 of their movies are good to great. And Army of Darkness is a great movie. So Evil Dead Rise was really good too. The latest one, really enjoyed that one. So yeah, Army of Darkness, my number 6. Melissa saying you should do 80s next week. Okay. All right. It's good feedback. Yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section if you guys if you want me to do other decades, my top 10 favorite horror movies from other decades. Let me know in the comment section if you guys want those videos as well. And I'll put them together. I just did 90s because I was born in the 90s. So I was like, I'll just start with the 90s. So there you go. All right. So number 5, moving on to number 5. This one might be a hot take, but my number 5 is Lake Placid. Yeah, baby. Love this movie. Yeah, this is definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. Lake Placid, man, it's just. Wait, was that number 5 or 6? That was. So I think Candyman was number 8, and then Army of Darkness was 7. So this was number 6 then. Yeah. Man, I'm getting confused by my own list, man. What am I doing? I'm getting old, dude. Yeah, I think this was my number 6. Yeah, so let's see. Melissa saying 2000s. Okay. So 80s and 2000s. Okay, I can do those. I can do those. My Chunky George saying I saw Evil Dead at 8 and was okay and was ill for a week because of the milk that night's brother's fault. It's funny. 8 years old. That's awesome, man. Yeah, yeah. That first one was that first one was creepy, man. That first one was creepy. Um, Melissa saying Lake Placid, awesome. Yeah, I love Lake Placid. I do. Um, it's got a lot of like Jaws vibes to it, especially the opening. You know, the POV from the alligator, you know, swimming under the water, you know, like Jaws, and comes up and bites the guy. They had to call in a group of experts to come kill the croc. Croc gator, same thing. Um, they're both large lizards that just kill anything in sight. So yeah, but yeah, it's got a lot of Jaws vibes, which is probably one reason I like it because I love Jaws. Um, and it's also here's the thing: a lot of people think Lake Placid classifies as a comedy. Fair, fair. However, to me, this concept is horror. I mean, when you think about a large, what did they say, 30-foot long, I think that's how big they say this creature is in the movie. This 30-foot long crocodile, alligator, whichever one you want to go with, eating people, out of this lake, that is terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. I don't do chompers, man. I don't do anything that can eat me, that can make lunch meat out of me. Nah, bro, I ain't messing with it. I ain't going there. I'm not going halfway there. No, dude, I'm not. I don't want anything to do with something that can eat me. So yeah, to me, this is scary because it's a horror movie because it's scary. The concept is horrifying. This giant crocodile that eats people. Um, when Michael's saying when that gator eats that bear, that shit was crazy, dude. Yes, yeah. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know. You think of a bear, as big of a creature as a bear is, and then this thing just coming out of the water and eating a bear. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near this lake. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Just give the tickets to someone else, man. Book the reservations. Give someone else my reservation because I ain't going. I ain't going. You can't pay me to go. I'm not doing it. Sorry, not going. Uh, I mean, you look. You guys can pay for my reservation. You guys can pay for my room and board. You guys can pay for the tourist sites around the lake. I don't care. I'm not going. My ass ain't going. Sorry, I'm not doing it. I don't do chompers, man. I don't do chompers. Um, Melissa saying yes, it was Jodie Foster. In what? Jodie in Lake Placid? I don't think it was Jodie Foster in Lake Placid. I think it was let me see. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Placid. Let's see. So it was Bridget Fonda in Lake Placid. You had obviously the great Bill Pullman, um, Oliver Platt, Brendan Gleeson, and the late great Betty White. Um, yeah, Melissa Bridget Fonda. Yeah, Bridget Fonda, which she did great in the movie. I love the chemistry with her and the guys, Gleason and in Pullman. I love Pullman. I can see him in anything, and I love Brendan Gleeson. I can see him in anything. Um, what's up, Mason, the King of Horror? Saying hi. What movie we talking about? So right now we're talking about Lake Placid. I'm on my number 5 or 6. I don't. I lost count. Because yeah. But yeah, talking about Lake Placid right now. Yeah, we're wondering, we were questioning if it was Judy Foster that was in the movie, but I did a fact check and it was Bridget Fonda. So yeah, yeah, just looking at the pictures of that movie right now, dude, if that croc doesn't make you fill your drawers, man, I mean, you're crazy. You're crazy, dude. I mean, that thing, who would go near that? I mean, look at that thing. Look at the size of that thing, bro. Why would you do it? Why would you even try to mess with that? Nah, man, I ain't doing it. Now, the thing that sets Lake Placid back a little bit is obviously the CGI. I don't think holds up very well by today's standards. I don't think this movie had a large budget. Um, but I mean, I'm always a fan of practical effects. Like Jaws was practical effects. That's one reason, you know, the shark still looks good to this day. But the croc here in Lake Placid was just straight up CGI. And it's, you know, I mean, for 1999, I don't think it was like horrible, but by today's standards, when you watch it, it's like it's not quite there. But yeah, it what makes up for it are the characters. The characters make up for it and make it incredibly entertaining. Let's see what the chat's saying. Melissa's saying Jodie Foster good in Panic Room. Yeah, Panic Room, and of course Silence of the Lambs, dude. Mason, the King of Horror, saying not me. Jaws is one of my favorite movies. Oh, dude, I love Jaws, bro. Love Jaws. Yeah, man. Jaws is one of my favorite movies as well. It's Jaws is amazing. Amaze balls. Even a 2-year-old can till that. Yeah. But still amazing movie. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Lake Placid, again, it's a guilty pleasure. It is. I'm not saying that, you know, it's one of the 10 best horror movies from the 90s, but it's one of my 10 favorite horror movies from the 90s. It's so entertaining, so much fun. Love the humor, absolutely works. Betty White just cracks me up every time. Oliver Platt, just he's got some great lines in the movie. It's a blast, man. I love me some Lake Placid. Jaws is the best. Yeah, it is. Jaws is pretty freaking good, man. All right, so let's see what number we're on. That was all right. I need to figure this out. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Yeah, that was my number 5. All right, so that was my number 5. So we're on number 4. Okay, so my number 4, we have The Sixth Sense. We're going with M. Night Shyamalan's best film, in my opinion. I do still think it's his best film. It's at least the one that I come back to the most. I love The Sixth Sense. Bruce Willis is great. The kid is great. What's her name? Lady was great. The mom. I love The Sixth Sense, and I will never forget the impact that the twist had on me the first time I saw this movie. And that twist is revealed, dude. That was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, I did not see that coming. Now, granted, I was early teenish when I saw this the first time, so you know, I didn't have the movie mind at 13, 12, whatever it was I saw this that I do now. But I think that M. Night sets it up really well. Really well. even on rewatch, like when I go back and watch this movie, I think he sets up that twist really well. He doesn't make it too obvious, but at the same time, like when you watch this movie back, it also makes sense when you know the reveal and you go back and watch it with, multiple views. It also makes sense how it is what it is. So yeah, that's not an easy thing to pull off, and it's got to be said. That's not easy to do, but I think M. Night does it. I think he pulls it off really well. So yeah, and I'm a Bruce Willis fan. I love Bruce Willis. I can watch him in anything. So having him in the movie doesn't hurt. I think the story also has a lot of heart. At the end of the day, character and story are the two most important things to me with film. Is it a good story? Does it have heart? And are there good characters in the movie, entertaining characters? And I think this movie has both. I think it's got great characters, and I think it's got a great story that has a lot of heart, a lot of emotion to it. And yeah, so Sixth Sense, man. And I just like, I love the whole psychology of it. That's the other thing. I was a psychology major in college when I went the first time, and I'm always fascinated with like psychology type of stuff. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Let's see what the chat is saying. Mason, the King of Horror, saying, "I see dead people." Yeah, yeah, that's definitely probably the most famous line from that movie. Melissa Wildcard saying, "No, no, no way, really, Melissa." Not a fan of the Sixth Sense. See, that's a wild card move right there, dude. That is a typical Melissa wild card move. I love it. Mason, uh I, Melissa, no, 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 Clayton, no. My Chucky Jordy saying Sixth Sense is a brilliant film. I used to work at my local cinema, so got to watch it for free. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I love it. And it's a brilliant film. It very well constructed, well written, well acted. It's a great film all around. The Sixth Sense would be on this list if I was doing the top 10 best horror movies of the 90s. It would be on this list. I do think it's one of the best horror movies from the 90s as far as just the quality of it. It's very well made, well put together. It's a great film. Um, you learn more each time you watch it. Yeah, you do. You really do. That's what I was saying. Like, it's got a lot of rewatch value. The rewatch value is very high because you can go back to it and not have like a mundane experience with a movie. Like, if you're an active viewer and not a passive viewer, and you're paying attention to what's going on, you're following the stories, you definitely can get stuff out of it each time. And that's great filmmaking. That's great filmmaking. I just finished my first week of film school. Loved it, had a great time, but very looking forward to, moving on and learning more stuff about film. But yeah, it's great filmmaking when you have a movie that provides you stuff with multiple views, and Sixth Sense does that. So yeah, definitely agree on that. I wonder if you watch it 6 times, it makes once you watch it 6 times, you get everything you need. It makes perfect sense. Melissa, you just have to watch it 6 times. That's all you got to do. The Sixth Sense. Or maybe after you watch it the 6th time, you gain a sixth sense. That would be badass. That would be awesome. Is on the 6th time you watch it, you actually gain a sixth sense. That would be pretty cool. Number one better. Are you saying number one better be Scream? And number one, okay, number one better be Scream. I don't know. You never know. Don't know what's coming. I don't want to give anything away. Um, but I will say, I do like Scream. I do like Scream. I'll just leave it at that. I won't give any spoilers about what's coming. I'll just say I do like Scream. Michael moved from Movies and Beyond saying Sixth Sense. The first time I watched it, I had no idea what was going on. Yeah, me too. I saw it in theaters. Of course, I ate a big sandwich before I watched it. That didn't help. How I Met Your Mother reference. Yeah, yeah. That's funny. About sandwiches. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what else. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Um, yeah, Sixth Sense is my number four. It's a great film. I get it's not for everybody. Some people are definitely more into like the slasher type of movies. And I love slashers as much as the next guy. I do, but I like I like a well told story. I think at the end of the day, I like a well told story. And The Sixth Sense, there's no denying, is a well told story. So, um, yeah, Mason saying if they are, thumbs up. Yeah. Val from Val's Views is in the chat saying hello, y'all. I'm not working, listening. That's perfectly fine, Val. Thank you very much for being here. And Val's the general, and the general always gets a salute when she is in the chat. Thank you very much, Val, for being here. Melissa saying can't stand Scream 1 and 2. Oh, man. That's the dagger right there, man. That's the dagger. Melissa's hit me with a few daggers, man. She's she's shoved a few daggers through the heart, through the chest. Michael say I saluted when you said that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so moving on to number 3. And these top 3, man, are look, I love all 10 of these movies. I do. They all made my top 10 of the decade. That should tell you that I'm a fan of all 10 of these movies. But these top 3 are just they're awesome. So my number 3 is boom, Scream, baby. The OG Wes Craven classic Scream. Let's see, Melissa saying Scream 3, 4, 5, 6, thumbs up. That's a wild card play. That is a wild card play. I'd see. That's what I love Melissa being in the chat, because for one, I never know what she's going to throw at me. Number 2, I love hearing her takes, because she has very interesting takes that I'm not accustomed to hearing, but she says how she feels, and I love that. And yeah, but it's some of them, man, are just, they're shocking. They're really, really shocking. 3, 4, 5, and 6, but not 1 and 2. That's crazy. Yeah, look, so Scream for me, and I know some people will disagree, and that's fine, but for me, Scream, that original Scream, is Wes Craven's best film. I think at least it's my favorite Wes Craven film. It is. And now I'm a huge Freddy guy. Love Freddy Krueger. He's in my top 5 favorite horror characters, horror villains. He's in my top 5. I love Freddy, and I love that original Nightmare on Elm Street. But I would take, as a movie and as an experience, I would take Scream, the first Scream, over Nightmare on Elm Street. So, yeah, I love Scream. Love this first one. Scream is another franchise, man, that doesn't really have a bad film. Like my least favorite Scream movie um is still better than a lot of other horror franchises' worst film. Like if you look at the worst Scream movie is better than the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It's better than the worst Friday 13th movie. It's better than the worst Halloween movie. It's better than the worst Chucky movie. It's better than the worst Texas Chainsaw movie. You know, like I just think that it's very similar to Evil Dead in that regard. Like I think Evil Dead and Scream are probably the two most consistent horror franchises as far as putting out good movies, good quality movies. Um, yeah, and this first Scream is still my favorite. I love it. Billy is still my favorite Ghostface. That's something I would love to hear from the chat. Who would your favorite Ghostface be? I'm interested to see what you guys would say on that. Billy is still my favorite Ghostface. I just think he was the most demented. He was the most entertaining and likable character as well. I think he had the most impact. Yeah, I love Billy. He's still my favorite Ghostface. Wes Craven just got super creative with this movie, turning the slasher concept on its head. Yeah, Scream is amazing. Um, I wonder if Scream would be Brian's favorite from the 90s. I'll have to ask him about that. Because I know Brian's a big Scream fan. Um, let's see what the chat is saying. Oh, you guys are active, man. This is awesome. Val saying Melissa never just goes with the crowd. Love that about her. Yeah, yeah, me too. Love that about Melissa. She always gives honest takes. Gotta respect it. Melissa saying Stu ruined Scream 1 for me. If he wasn't in it, would love it. And Scream 2 plain annoying to me. Interesting. Okay, so your problem with the first Scream is Stu. It's not necessarily like the story or the movie. It's more just the character of Stu that ruined it for you. Okay, I can respect that. I can respect that. We all have those characters in movies that just we can't get on board with. I can respect that. Mason saying part 2 is the creepiest Freddy, in my opinion. Yeah. I think that's a pretty popular opinion. I've thought about this a lot. It would be between part 2 and the remake for me, as far as like the creepiness of Freddy, Dark Freddy, because you think of like Freddy in the remake. I get it wasn't Robert Englund, but that was a dark Freddy, and I think that he was very sadistic in that movie. So I always go back and forth between part 2 and the remake for like the darkest version of Freddy. Like the remake, he's just toying with his victims in the remake, man. And he does some pretty sick things. So, but yeah, I would venture to lean in that direction with part 2 being at least one of the creepiest Freddys for sure. I love them all. 3-6 are two favorite Screams. That's crazy. That's a wild card move right there. Mason saying, I love Seed of Chucky. What? Whoa. Mason saying, I love Seed of Chucky. That's a hot take. That's a Melissa take right there. I love Seed of Chucky. That's crazy. Because that's I can't get on board with that one, man. But hey, I respect it. It's your opinion. Being honest with it, I love it. Uh, let's see. Roman. So Melissa, you like Roman in part three? Okay. Oh, Roman was your favorite Ghostface. Okay, I got you. I got you. I'm following. Uh, Michael saying Mickey. It's funny. Val saying not only did Roman kill, he started the whole thing. He did. He did. It's very true. Very true. I like Mickey. He's messed up. He is. Mickey is. That's a fair one. A fair take. Mason saying Scream 2 car part is a great scene. Yeah, yeah. That's probably my favorite scene from part two. That one's really good. Um, yeah, yeah. Melissa saying Mickey, the guy who played Mickey also played in the Crazies. Yeah, 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 he did. He did that. That's another movie, man. The Crazies. I haven't seen that movie in probably 6 years. 6 years. It's been a long time since I've seen the Crazies. He's the funniest Ghostface. Yeah, yeah. All right. So that was number three. So we're on to my number two. All right. We're getting close to the end here. Okay, so my number two is going to be controversial because a lot of people are going to argue that this movie is not a horror movie. In my opinion, this is a horror movie, but I'll just go ahead and put it on the screen. My number two is The Crow from 1994. Brandon Lee, baby. Yeah, I love, dude. I love this movie. The Crow is definitely one that I go back. If I'm not going back to it, I have an urge to go back to it. Like The Crow is a movie I think about constantly. Um, I love this movie. A lot of people would argue that The Crow is not horror. They'll argue it's, superhero, it's action, it's, drama, whatever. The reason for me, I'll just kind of lay out my points here. Um, the reasons for me why I do consider The Crow horror is because if you think about the story and what the story actually is and what it's actually saying and doing, that's a horror story. That's a horror story that you would tell to your kids, at night if you wanted to scare them or whatever. Like that's a horror story, and the tone is a horror tone. It's not a comedy tone. It's not, a superhero tone. It's a dark tone. So the tone and the story are both horror. It's horror. I mean, yes, you can double dip with movies. You can, movies do dip in different genres. You have like, uh, movies like Aliens, that's both horror and action and sci-fi. Like you could have movies in multiple different genre, but to me, I'm looking at the dominant genre, and if the dominant genre is horror in theme, it's a horror movie. And I would argue that The Crow is a horror movie. Yes, it does have elements of other genres. It's got elements of action. It's got elements of superhero. It's got elements of, whatever. But at the end of the day, the story and the tone are both horror. So I do think you can rightfully classify it as a horror movie. So yeah, and it is my number two favorite horror movie from the 90s. Love this movie. Love Brandon Lee. Just totally gave himself over to that role. And quite frankly, and I've not said anything on my channel about the Crow remake that's coming out. I'll just kind of go ahead and say my piece about that now, since we're talking about the Crow. I'm not a fan. I'll just say it. Obviously, the movie isn't out yet. I'm not judging the movie for the content, but I'm just saying I'm not a fan of the remake of this movie, because for me, there's just certain movies you ought not touch. Like it's just add them to like the 10 Commandments or something. Like, commandment number 11. There's certain movies you ought not touch. And for me, The Crow is one of those movies you ought not touch. Just leave it be. Jaws, another movie you ought not touch. I don't ever want to see a remake of Jaws. It's just, to me, there's just some movies that are so perfect in their essence of what they are. They don't need to be revived. They don't need anyone coming back and redoing them. Now, I get, 60 years down the road, 80 years, whatever, you want to go back and make it, because no telling where we're going to be with technology and stuff 20 years from now, 30 years from now. But as long as it's still relatively moderate, don't remake this movie, guys. Let it go. Let its legacy be with Brandon Lee, and let Brandon Lee's legacy be with The Crow. Don't step in and try to remake that. So that's just my opinion on the movie, on the remake. I will see it, the remake. I'll check it out, and I'll give it its fair shot. But yeah, just as a concept of remaking this movie, I'm not a fan. But yeah, the movie itself is a banger. I love this movie. It's my number 2. So let's see what the chat is saying. Oh, you guys are active, man. This is awesome. I love it. So another good movie with John Cusack and Samuel L. Good too, but in 2000s. Oh yeah. Oh, The Cell. Yeah, I got you. I'm following. The Crow is awesome. Just saw it last week. That's awesome. Love it. Yeah, dude, The Crow is super rewatchable. A lot of fun. Mason saying, I think it's horror. Yeah, I do too. I always argue it for being horror. I know some people don't, and that's fine. We all have our own criteria of what qualifies as a horror movie. But yeah, I agree, Mason. For me, it's horror. The new one is coming. Yeah. Michael saying The Crow fits in multiple categories, and horror is one of them. Agreed. Absolutely. It's also a love story. Yeah, it is. You could definitely argue that for sure. And yeah, it's kind of what I was saying. Like, you do have movies that dip in multiple genres. And as long as they have a dominant theme of that genre, you can argue it being, that genre. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Something the babysitter would do in Halloween 20. Oh man, throwing a wrench in there, Mason. I love it. Like Blade. Yeah. Melissa saying Mason, one of my favorite Halloweens. It's 1878 and H4, my favorite Halloween movies. Hey, that's something Melissa and I agree on. 78, 18, and H4. Those would be my 3 favorite Halloweens as well. Let's see. No one can replace Brandon Lee. Agreed. R.I.P. Yeah, we have to wait and see. Jaws can't get remade. Dude, I don't even want to hear that they're remaking Jaws. I don't want those words to come into these ears, okay? I don't want those words to come into these ears. If you guys ever hear that, you better not tell me, because I do not want to ever hear those words from anyone's mouth that they're remaking Jaws. No, sir. Jaws is perfect, so it's the Crow. Don't yeah, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, there's just some movies you don't touch. You don't touch. Michael saying some movies like Jaws, even if done well, the story doesn't belong in today's era. One of the many things that make Jaws so good is when it took place. That's true. That's true. Another fact, like with Jaws, Jaws was actually the first blockbuster movie. It was the first blockbuster movie. There were actual lines wrapped around the cinemas when this movie came out because everybody and their mother were going to see this movie. That's where they coined the phrase blockbuster from, because the blocks uh, were busted. But no, this was the first blockbuster. It was the highest grossing film of all time when it came out, until Star Wars beat it out 2 years later. But yeah, Jaws, yeah, for its time was incredible, and even today, I think it still looks good and still holds up. Melissa saying they should never did a remake of Halloween either. 78 is the best. Rob Zombie Halloween suck. Ooh, hot take, hot take. So Halloween is a little bit different for me. And I'm a Halloween fanatic. I mean, shoot, my YouTube logo, half the face is Michael Myers, right? Those are my two favorite characters of all time, Michael Myers and Batman. Those are my two favorite fictional characters, always will be. Batman and Michael Myers. Those are my two boys right there. Halloween's a little bit different for me because if we only ever had the original Halloween, that's the only Michael we would have, and it, like, I've thought about whether or not I would want that. And part of me would, because I think the ending to original Halloween is so good. And the story is good and everything. But at the same time, like, some of my favorite kills are in later Halloween movies. Like Halloween 2 has one of my favorite kills of all time. Halloween 2018 has some of my favorite kills. So if we only had the original Halloween 78, I would still love it. It would still be my favorite horror movie of all time. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, Melissa saying, Clayton, about time we agree on something. I know. It's about time. I actually like the remake. Oh, okay. So you like the Rob Zombie remake. Interesting. Michael would not be, yeah, he wouldn't be as big if we had if we only had that original Halloween, Michael probably wouldn't be one of the, slasher icons that we talk about today. The bathtub kill is amazing. Halloween 2. Yeah, that's one I was talking about. That's one of my favorite Michael Myers kills in the entire franchise. I mean, just think about how savage that kill is. He's not only drowning the lady, he's burning her face off. Like, dude, if that's not just straight up savagery, I don't know what is, bro. I don't know what is. I got to go to savagery school. If I don't know what that, if that's not savagery, I got to go to savagery school to get educated. He's drowning her and burning her face off at the same time, dude. Yeah, that kill is just phenomenal. And the thing is, you see Michael's hand in the water as well, and it's not even phasing him. Like, he's not bothered by it at all. That's what's so cool about it. Melissa's saying Michael loves so much good, suck on his thumb, wait. It's funny. Mason saying like Curse of Chucky, kill computer. Curse of Chucky. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got you. I had to think there for a minute. Um, I should do a Chucky review series. What do you guys think of that? Would y'all like a Chucky review series? I haven't. I've done a Nightmare on Elm Street review series. I've done a Friday 13th review series. I've done a Texas Chainsaw Massacre review series. Um, I do plan on doing Halloween eventually. Don't worry, that one's definitely coming. Michael is definitely. I definitely want you on at least one of those. Um, but would y'all want a Chucky review series? Let me know on that. Mason saying yes, please. Okay. I I was gonna say, I don't think that Mason's a big Chucky fan, but judging by his picture, judging by Mason's profile picture, yeah, I don't think he. I don't know if he's a big Chucky fan. It's funny. Okay, all right. I will. I will schedule that in. I don't know when. I don't know when. Because my schedule is crazy right now. That's why I haven't been able to drop a whole lot of reviews because I work a full-time job. I go to school, film school right now. I also have other activities outside of school and work that I participate in. And I have a YouTube channel. So yeah. Don't have all the time in the world, unfortunately. But yeah, Mason saying biggest Chucky fan here. Okay, all right. Well, that would be fun. That would be fun then. Having a big Chucky fan on those reviews, movie reviews. That'd be fun. I'll have to get around doing a Chucky series. All right, so we are moving on to my number one. We are at the top. We've climbed the mountain. We've reached number one. For anyone that's been kicking it with me for a while, you probably know where I'm going with this. This next movie is not just my favorite horror movie from the 90s. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And that is, of course, boom, The Silence of the Lambs. Yes, sir. My Chucky George saying I'd watch it, but I'm not too fussed as I hated dolls. Fussy as I hated dolls when I was a child. My mom thought I like. I thought I liked Barbie. That's funny. That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to get. I'll have to do Chucky. I'll have to do Chucky next. But yeah, Silence of the Lambs, man. Silence of the Lambs is my favorite horror movie from the 90s. I just think it's so good, man. It's so good. Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter, Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill, Jodie Foster. Melissa, this is where your Jodie Foster performance comes in. Jodie Foster as Starling. Yeah, man, just so good all the way around. Like just some of the greatest characters in a horror movie, some of the absolute best acting you'll ever see in a horror movie, a great story, a great concept, brilliantly directed. Yeah, dude, I could go on for hours just on Silence of the Lambs, man. Super rewatchable. I love it. Melissa saying not a fan of Silence of the Lambs. Of course she's not. Of course you're not, Melissa. Why would I think Wildcard would be a fan of Silence of the Lambs? I love it. I love it. Oh man. Just yeah. I just yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with Melissa. I don't know what I'm gonna do with Melissa. Um, Mason saying, "Bro, look at the poster. First time I saw that poster, I couldn't sleep for a week. Creepy poster." Yeah, dude, the poster is creepy. It's a great poster. Um, Melissa saying, "Clayton, wait for 80s." Oh gosh, no telling what kind of hot takes Melissa's gonna have for the 80s. Yeah, Silence of the Lambs, guys. That's my favorite horror movie from the 90s. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, top five for me. I love everything about it. I love everything about it. It's bone chilling at times. Um, I just like both killers are so well written and so well used, Hannibal and Buffalo Bill. And I love the idea of having a notorious serial killer helping law enforcement find another notorious serial killer. Like that is so fascinating to me. And they took inspiration from that from a real life situation with Ted Bundy. Law enforcement actually went to Ted Bundy to help them find the Green River Killer. Um, which I think is super interesting because Gary Ridgway, who's the Green River Killer, he had been getting away with all these murders. Law enforcement didn't have a lead on him. And then they had a lead on him, and then they lost the lead on him, and they didn't know where else to go. Bundy was in prison at the time, and he was reading all these articles on the Green River Killer, and got fascinated with it. He actually offered law enforcement uh, he offered to help them in finding the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway. And at the time, law enforcement didn't have a lead on Ridgway. So they're like, well, we got nothing else to lose. We don't have a lead right now. So, shoot, what is it going to hurt? Right. So they go to Bundy, and Bundy actually gives them advice on how to find Ridgway. And sure enough, it actually worked. And Bundy's advice actually helped law enforcement find Gary Ridgway, which is just crazy to me. I guess it takes a psychopath to find a psychopath, to think like a psychopath, right? So yeah, they used inspiration from that with the whole Silence of the Lambs thing, where Hannibal Lecter is actually helping law enforcement find Buffalo Bill. And the advice that he gives actually works. So yeah, fun little fact there. Let's see what the chat is saying. He eats people. Yes, he does. Yeah, Hannibal to Cannibal, baby. A little bit like the movie. Perfect movie. Yeah, it is, man. Silence of the Lambs is perfection. It's perfection. Melissa saying, I saw Delia Burt Stranger about Bundy and saw movie Green River Killer 2. Yeah. I had to do a really a deep dive on both of those guys when I was in college. And for one of our psychology courses. Yeah, fascinating stuff, man. But Signs of the Lambs is perfection. It's not objectively perfect. I don't think any movie is. I think if you look hard enough, you can find something, to throw a dart to throw at any movie. But I look at movies from a subjective experience, and subjectively, from an experience, Silence of the Lambs is perfect. It's a 5-star movie for me. So, yeah, I love Silence of the Lambs. It is, in my opinion, a perfect movie. So, some would disagree. Melissa obviously is one of those that would disagree. But yeah, there you go. Silence of the Lambs, my favorite from the 90s. All right, so apparently you guys want other decades. what I'll probably do is just go forward first and then come back and do 70s and 80s, because I started with the 90s, so I'll just go through the other decades of my life, and I'll do a top 10 horror movies of the 2000s, and then I'll do top 10 horror movies of the 2010s, and then I'll go back and do top 10 favorite of the 80s and top 10 favorite from the 70s, and maybe I might get a little freaky with it and go top 10 of the 60s. I don't know. I don't know yet, but I might get a little freaky with it and go all the way back to the 60s. We'll see. She hates everything. Dude, I'm telling you, you never know what wild card is gonna throw at you. You gotta be ready for anything. There's one thing I've learned having Melissa in the chat is you gotta be ready for anything. Wild card can throw a wild card at you at any moment, and you don't know when it's gonna come, but you better be ready for it. So, yeah. Mason saying 1930s. Oh man, 1939, 1930s. Yeah, that's way far back, really far. I mean, that's Universal Studios monsters right there. But yeah, that's kind of what's to come, guys. Also, I will be dropping movie reviews as often as I can. Just keep in mind though, like it takes time to record the videos, and I don't always get them on the first take. Sometimes I have to do multiple takes on a review, but it takes time to do to record the review. It takes time to then go in and edit the review. And then it takes time to actually upload it onto YouTube. So there's a lot of time involved that goes into actually putting out and publishing a review. And I don't have a lot of time on my daily schedule with everything I got going on. I apologize about that, because I would love to be dropping reviews for you guys every day. If I could, that would be awesome. But right now I kind of have to just slide them in whenever I can. So I apologize that they're not coming as frequently as I would like them to be. But we just know that when I can, I will put them out for you guys. And yeah, next time, I will definitely try to, we'll do 2000s next week. We'll do 2000s next week. Eric from the Bearded Entertainment, popping in the chat saying, "Hey brother, sorry I couldn't make it to this one." Hey, no problem, man. No problem. We'll get you on another one. Eric, in fact, I was telling the thread, I plan on doing 2000s next week. Top 10 favorite horror movies from the 2000s. You're more than welcome to come on that one with me if you want. But yeah, no worries, brother. I got you. No worries on that. Mason saying it's not over yet. 1, 2, Freddy's coming. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Yeah, better be in the 8. Nightmare on Elm Street will be in the 80s. That's one I can. I don't know where in the 80s it would fall, but yeah, that one definitely is gonna make the 80s. But yeah, next week we'll do 2000s, and then we'll do 2010s, and then I'll go back and do 80s, 70s, and then I might get freaky on you guys and go back to the 60s. So that's kind of what's coming up. Keep the notifications on for when I upload a new movie review. And just keep in mind, this is not only horror channel now. I have expanded out to do all films, all types of films. Sundays are going to be kind of our horror hangout time to talk horror. But throughout the week, I'll probably be doing, other type of movies as well. So there you go, guys. Man, this has been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun kicking it with you guys, hanging out, talking 90s horror with you freaks. I've loved it. Come back next week for 2000s. That one will be a fun stream as well. And yeah, thanks for being here, man. It's been a blast. Love kicking it with you guys. And then don't forget to go over to Movies and Beyond later tonight. and help support Michael's channel. I'm gonna be on there. And yeah, he's gonna have a killer stream tonight, man. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, Mason saying best live stream I've ever been to. Thanks, man. Dude, that's dude. Mason, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. That means a lot, brother. It really does. It means a lot. Thank you. I'm glad you guys had fun, man. I had a blast. I had a blast. So looking forward to next week. And until next time, kick it and rock on. Later, dudes.